Ramadan Kareem to everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to Dr. Liliani and Dr. Moha from Bina Power, and myself, Amir Malik from the Tandur Group of Companies, second generation family business enterprise, Malaysian owned, proudly Malaysian, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so Ami, maybe you can explain how you started to be involved in the family business, and how long has the Tandoor been set up, and how did your parents set up the company?
Okay, first and foremost, Alhamdulillah, the Tandoor has been a group of companies that has been existing in the market for 30 years now. And my father and mother is the founder of the brand. And they found this brand completely through passion, right? Because they were not from the F&B background, neither they were from any knowledge of F&B, other than just they were working in an F&B company. And that's how they started to be interested in F&B, and eventually started their own brand in 1990.
Okay, and how did you get involved? I was made to understand that you are now 26 years old or 29 years old.
Myself, I'm 29 years old this year.
Okay, so how long have you been involved with the family business, and how did you actually get involved with the family business?
Well, firstly, I think I have been involved in the family business since I was in high school, rather. That was in when I was 16 years old, and I was working with the company already as the sales assistant. And I started off joining the business because I found entrepreneurship. At that point of time, I didn't know that it was called entrepreneurship. I found business is fun and I want to do business. And I started promoting my parents' product, which is a restaurant and catering, at the school as well. And started to secure some business from the school since high school. Yeah, and eventually I saw that I felt that I'm interested in this business, and I felt that nothing can feed your satisfaction and your passion other than doing your own business. So that's how I decided to join them later on, and that's how I decided to pursue entrepreneurship in University Tun Abdul Razak. And also I was allowed and given the opportunity for an international business study program in Bremen, Germany from after Uni Razak. So when I came back, I eventually immediately joined the family business, and I joined in as the marketing manager, no, to be precise, marketing executive first, and moving on to marketing manager, and moving on, you know. I mean, it's your own business. You can put whatever title you want, but also you must take up the responsibility. So we have to cut the cloth accordingly.
Yeah, true. So thank you for sharing your journey, your educational background and the experience that you had with your family business thus far. Okay, let's go straight into the pandemic COVID-19 that everyone is facing right now. Yeah, how do you describe what the Tandoor is going through now, especially with your dining and your event management that you have?
Right. As we know that everyone is going through a really rough time, and I think I believe that whatever it's time. Maybe before this, I wasn't really applying what I studied in college or university. But at this point of time, during this kind of crisis, I would say that whatever that you would study in college or by books would actually help as well, because I remember that there are main 5 traits of an entrepreneur, right? Being creative, innovative, risk taker, and all these traits applies at this kind of time where you really have to look at things outside the box. You can't go with the norm. You have to look at, how do you move forward? How do you improvise further? And obviously, previously, for the past 13 years, our main core business has always been restaurant, franchising, and events. And this pandemic has certainly affected us badly in the events industry. And we can see that this would be prolonged further as people would be still having fear in them, going out or having events, and people be very careful as well. And we have to be very careful as well, because we cannot afford to jeopardize our brand, right? So there is always risk. So we're trying to minimize risk while we manage our restaurants, and we try to reduce contact. We try to monitor our employees. We get their temperatures checked regularly, immediately. But that is basically what we are doing on day to day. However, due to this pandemic, we had to actually shift our business focus. Previously, we were more customer-based, face-to-face. We were doing face-to-face business, right? We had to meet clients, we had to do events with them and weddings, and we have to go to the site and plan. So we have always been lacked in socially active through social media or through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, because we've always been focusing on these events and weddings and caterings where the big business is. But when you come through a crisis like this, you realize that what could actually help and support you to survive further and proceed longer would be the immediate customer base. Secondly, would be cash flow. Being in event industry or caterings or weddings, seminars, all these require credit kind of cash flow. But as we are focusing now on social media and marketing directly to customers, it has assisted also in safeguarding our cash flow to be able to continue paying our suppliers, our employees, and other matters per se. So as we shift our business focus online, where customers to pay first to get their services. Whenever doing events or weddings or seminars or any sort of, right? So currently we're completely focusing on deliveries and takeaways and online, and we've started our social media platform, and we're focused completely marketing our social media as of now.
Okay, so how are you executing those strategies? Given the fact that in the past you mentioned that you were not really focused on the social media, but the fact that the pandemic is forcing you, and the business to focus into social media. So what kind of changes did you have to do in terms of, knowledge and training and perhaps SOP, not just for you, but certainly you have your team, and definitely how your parents, thought of this a new way of doing things. Did you face any resistance from your parents or your employees, and how are your customers facing it as well?
Right. I would say that firstly is that well, everything takes time to adapt, right? And we would have to learn as we go. But definitely, I would like to appreciate my team, my marketing team, my business consultant as well, right? Because prior to that, before this pandemic, we were already shifting our focus into ready to eat and ready to cook meals, and we were given the opportunity for an in-flight catering contract with Pakistan International Airline. So with that being said, we had to adapt and move forward with food technology, food safety requirements, and all those kind of SOPs that we had in place for a complete different project. But due to this pandemic, we were able to shift this projects or planning that was in place to address this matter as well. We realized that the technology will be able to fulfill, or will be able to adapt to the situation where people would require less movement, people would not wanna go out much, they want to reduce their risk as well. And secondly is that, Doctor, you would have to let me know if I did not address the point, right? And secondly would be that when I suggested this to my team, obviously I had certain kind of question marks that are we going to spend this kind of money at this kind of time? Or is this the time to spend money? Are we supposed to be saving our money and be more thrifty as well? And what I foresee was that I think that at that point of time that was we were left with no choice. You know, in business there's always do or die kind of term. It's either you do it and die, or you don't do it and die. So either way, you're just going to die. So better to try and die, or not try and die. Better to try and die, right? So we tried it, and we managed to convince the team with a marketing budget. And I really thank my social media team as well, that have been really brilliant in guiding me and assisting me as well in moving forward on this social media platform, which is something that I have continuously learned right now. Previously, due to our business model, I was also not socially active, like this kind of webinar and seminars. These are all very new as well, right? Previously, we had to attend classes or seminars in a classroom. So what we can say is that in every kind of situation, there is good and bad. And you can see in this kind of situation, the good part is that, you know, people get to get the technology enhanced faster as well. So basically, this pandemic has enforced us and put us in a corner where it is vital to move towards industrial revolution 4.0, and it has escalated the step moving towards IR 4.0, because if you do not do as I said, you would die. So you have to do it, and then you move as you go on and you improvise.
Yeah. You were talking about, you know, how you had to convince your employees to get on board into doing, you know, all these new things. You were not in so much in social media. So in terms of your employees, what kind of training or what kind of job skills that they have to learn in order to support this new normal?
Yeah, basically, as a small and medium enterprise SME company, what we had to adapt to was that we are trying our best not to retrench any of our employees, and we are trying our best to make sure that we are able to pay them on full wages as well. So definitely, people would have to make sacrifices and adapt as well. So we have restructured their job descriptions, and we have moved their responsibility as well. There are restaurant managers who are actually right now becoming the riders, delivering the food. You know, you just have to adapt. I'm paying a restaurant manager a high thrifty amount just to be a rider to deliver the food, because I want to keep him employed. But they would have to also cooperate with us. You know, they would have to adapt with whatever changes that we're making and whatever requests that we have. So basically what we did was, the day MCO was announced, we took immediate action. Within 2 days, we got our social media out, and we engaged our team, and we started marketing online, and we restructured the job description of our employees. And most importantly is we check the system. How are we going to do this? Because, you know, normally, if you are to move towards e-commerce, it will cost you a lot. So maybe at this point of time, we can't completely move on a stable e-commerce system. So we are half here and half there, where we started our own WhatsApp business, and we started promoting that WhatsApp business number hotline as a hotline number online on social media, so that people can reach out to us. And from this WhatsApp business, we have set up our catalogs and pictures, right? And yeah, and at these kind of times that it reminds you as well that situation like this reminds you that you would actually turn out to your friends, family, mutual friends, relations for support when you start something. You know? So when we started our social media, you know, we got all our friends, our family members, our employees, you know, our neighbors, whoever that we could, you know, to like and follow our page, so we can create engagement and crowd as well. And I got a special friend, to come over to the restaurant to make some photo shoots, so we can educate the customers as well what food we're ordering, because most of the time the customers don't know what they're ordering or what they're having as well, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
yeah.
Okay. I think this is a true sense of, you know, what our Prime Minister is saying, kita jaga kita, eh? Hashtag kita jaga kita. Yeah, friends and families comes together, you know, to help each other, yeah, during these difficult times. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, how is it with regards to your customers' perception, perhaps towards food delivery? Because we all know that the tandoor is a high-end Northern Indian cuisine. Yeah, so you have a very nice setup. Your restaurant has a very beautiful ambience. Yeah, your customers are of a certain your customers are of a certain target market, yeah. But now with this shift, the foods are being packed and you have to deliver. So how are the customers responding? What are their perception? And what about the issue of hygiene and cleanliness? How do you continue to assure your customer base?
Right. Okay, firstly, let me address saying that the tandoor is a high-end exclusive brand. I would say that it's more towards the middle and upper middle class. Our average spending previously, when we were running in-house dining, it's about 60 ringgit per person per head. So what we have done is that because the tandoor restaurant is a family dining restaurant, means it's a concept where you share the meals. Whatever food you order can be consumed between 2 to 3 to 4 people, depending on their portion as well. But to address the other group of the market share, we came up with economic sets, and we came up with more affordable sets, so that we can reach out to the mass as well. And it's in a concept where the more you order, the cheaper it would be in the set meals, because we would want to push through towards economy of scale. So where people would consume, where they get volume and we get a reasonable amount of income as well. That is what we have done immediately when we set up the social media, and we called it Set Duduk Rumah, and Eco Set Duduk Rumah, and they had we had set number 1 till set number 6 with different names, set pandemic, set epidemic. I thought, you know, just put some fun in it as well. Obviously, we received some criticism as well, like, you know, this is not the time to have this kind of names and people are sad. But we also received positive feedbacks where people are saying, oh my god, your names, your dishes are so cute, you know, your names, those kind of things. So, and secondly is that we in terms of how did we move forward in terms of hygiene and safety, we completely, as of now, we're not operating our own outlets. We've got two kind of outlets, franchise outlets and our own outlets. So our own outlets, we've got 3 outlets, and currently we have centralized our workforce and our production into our HQ, which is in Damansara, because as I mentioned, we would want to monitor our staff regularly. So what we have done is that we came up with an SOP. The SOP number one is that they are provided with gloves and face masks, and for each new delivery, they would have to use new gloves and dispose them right immediately, even before they get back to the shop. So you pass the food to the customer, you get out, you dispose your gloves, you get in the car, you go back to the restaurant. Means you do not bring back the gloves. Secondly is that we have provided sanitizers at the door for customers and riders as well, and our own employees. Thirdly is that we bought the temperature gun control, and we do the temperature checking of our employees every day, twice, morning and evening. So whoever that is above 37.5 degrees Celsius and has any other kind of symptoms that is doubtful, and we will ask them to take leave and then go for a checkup. Fourthly is that we started a weekly disinfection in our central kitchen. So I mean, we don't know the credibility of this disinfection, because we don't even know what kind of liquid these service providers are using. But of course, they say that it's a hospital standard and food grade standard, and it is more like an assurance that we have, right, for us, our employees, and our customers to continue supporting each other. Yeah. That would be some of the key points that we have implemented immediately after the MCO.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. So with this new way of doing things, this new normal, how do you find the sales is like, you know, doing this business online, you know, having to deliver? How is the sales performance?
Definitely, we are impacted and affected, right? It's not normal, like the normal sales that we were doing, but definitely also that we are able, as I said, we are able to sustain our employees. You know, we are able to pay them on full. We're not giving them any pay cuts. Margin is very less. Profit margin is very less, because obviously prices of goods have also increased because of increase of demand and lack of supply. Ports are closed. You know, there was once we were buying onions at 40 to 50 ringgit per bag of onions. We selling our food at that price. So we just shrink our margin and just make sure that we have continuous support, continuous income to sustain. I would say that the most credential important part would be to be able to sustain this pandemic, because if you are able to sustain this crisis, you'll be able to move on for, inshallah, another 10 years. You know, as we know, in business or in economy, every 10 years, there is a economic downturn. 98, 2008, 2009, you know, 2020. So it is something that we have always been hit with, financial crisis. Only difference is that this time we are medically as well hit, where people will be much more conscious of their safety. Because if they're not safe, they won't be able to find income and they can't spend.
Yes, yes, true. So yeah. So it's very interesting that you mentioned that, you know, having to sustain, you know, staying afloat during these difficult times. And I believe that moving forward, the Tandor and the Abdul Malik family would be able to continue as a family business for 50 or 100 years down the road. Yeah, inshallah. So before I ask you the next question, I'd like to just give a shout out to the participants. If you have any questions, please do share your questions. We'll be taking the questions shortly. Yeah. So Amir, I want to go down to your communication and relationship and having to pitch to your parents. You know, how is that when you have to pitch on a new project? I understand that the frozen food is a new project that you have personally, you know, work on. So how was that process like, as a son, as you know, who is working in the company, having to convince your parents who has been in charge, you know, the past 30, 40 years? What was it like, you know, having to pitch and convince this project?
I think I would say with my persistency and consistency, they have given up with me. So they have given up in me. I mean, is that before this, I would say for the past 7 years or 8 years, it has been a lot of. We've been having a lot of positive or more like for the best interest of the company kind of arguments, right? For the business, for the best interest of the business. And I think my consistency and persistency has assisted me and helped me to reach a point where they have given me the trust now, and they have given me the empowerment to move forward of the direction of the company and to go about it. Of course, they are still around supervising and overlooking things. But I would say comparatively to 5 years ago or 8 years ago when I joined this business, I would say that I would have more credibility now in the business and more say. And I would say that that would be definitely due to the consistency that I'm still here and arguing and fighting for the best interest of the company. Yeah. And moving forward, as Dr. Leliani was asking regarding the frozen food, what happened is that we are venturing into in-flight catering, and due to venturing into in-flight catering is how we started exploring ready-to-eat and ready-to-cook meals. I have a business consultant from Empirical Consultant Services, which has assisted us knowledge-wise in terms of how do we start our own line of frozen food and product, which we can reach out to the mass and can last longer and will be much more reasonable and cheaper as well. So that's how we started. And I would say in today's generation, where it's a generation of convenience, where you can see, right, whatever we're having right now, like Zoom and seminars and webinars like these are mostly participated by Gen Y and Gen Z because they are more tech friendly. I would say we could reach out more because also this generation of convenience are also mostly they don't know how to cook, but they enjoy good food, right? And they don't like all the hassle and trouble. They would want to have something simple, easy, and fast, but they want it to be healthy, tasty, and fulfilling. So that's what we are trying to provide to our customers: healthy, tasty, fulfilling. We do not have any preservatives. We do not modify the ingredients. We do not add on any other additional flavoring. It's exactly how we prepare in the restaurant. The only difference is that we adapt technology in preparing this food rather than freshly cooked food in a la carte dishes.
Okay, all right. So there was a lot of convincing and a lot of persistence, I hear, yeah, for you to convince your parents to get into frozen food.
I mean, you would always, if you own something and you really value it, you would always have a very strong sense of attachment. My father and mother founded this business. They started it from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they've got too much of attachment and compassion towards the brand. And I would have to do that gradually to be able to convince them, to be able to move forward, to be able to change their perception and understanding. In fact, beginning in December last year, we actually did a brand repositioning, right? We did a new image for our brand after 30 years. And even that took a lot of convincing. I had to show them companies like Ferrari has brand repositioning. Companies like McDonald's are doing brand repositioning. Pepsi has changed their logo so many hundreds of times. Pizza Hut, their logo, you know. So there's nothing wrong as long as we stick to our values, our product, but we adapt our logo or brand to the current trend in the market.
Yeah. So how different is the brand right now in terms of what does the brand speak of right now?
I mean, Dr. Liliani, you'll be surprised because previously, all this while, our brand has always been catering to generation X and Y, mid Y.
Mm,
And currently, when we move to online platform, we are catering mostly, we are our customer base is of generation Y and Z, because generation X mostly don't know how to work social media. And they will ask their children like, hey, can you order for me from Shopee, or can you get this from Lazada? I don't know how this thing works.
mm,
So in every good there is bad, and due to this pandemic, we were able to completely shift our market, our focus on the market to generation Y and Z. So this is the blessing that we had. If we were to do this in the restaurant, it would have costed us much more money, changing the ambience, renovation, upgrading the plates, fork and spoon, whatever the surroundings is, right? And currently, we are adapting and catering to this crowd just through pictures. We get nice, beautiful pictures of our food and get it online, and that's about it. We don't have to do any renovation. We don't have to change our plates and fork and spoon or table and chairs. The
mm.
ambience.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and thankfully that we did not. We were in the final stage of doing that.
Mm.
But I think crisis, definitely that would be on hold. Who is going to go in dining in restaurants at this point of time? People will be still very, very careful.
Yeah. Uh, the recent announcement by our Prime Minister this morning, he's mentioned that businesses can start to open with limited uh, uh, services, yeah, and there's a particular SOP that you all have to adhere to, in terms of spacing of the tables and number of people that is able to sit at the tables. How are you going to address this? Are you going to start opening on Monday, or are you just going to wave through for a couple of days and continue with social media? How do you plan to do this? Because there's a question from Razlan Rizal. He says, what is your plan after MCO? Certainly, we are still under MCO, but because on Monday, our Prime Minister has indicated we can start, opening up our restaurants and stuff like that. What's your plan after MCO, or at least by Monday?
Assalamualaikum, Haji Razlan. How are you? Thank you for asking this question. Appreciate you being here in this webinar. And yeah, Haji, how are you? Haji is actually a good dear friend of mine as well. So, Haji, I would say that Mr. Razlan, I would say is that at this point of time, we we are on hold. We do not plan to operate yet because we would need a very comprehensive SOP. And I think for Alhamdulillah, 30 years old brand, it will be too big a risk to take. If anything goes wrong, it will jeopardize our brand and our institution, our employees, and jump you to this. So at this point of time, sorry, are we still there?
Can everyone please mute your mic so that we can have Amir to speak? Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, so I was saying that at this point of time, we will stick to deliveries and takeaways, and we will not yet do in-house dining because we would have to calculate the risk, and it's a very big risk. We've been in the market for 30 years, and we want to continue being in the market, inshallah, for another 50, 80 years, and we cannot afford that kind of risk. We would need to give that kind of assurance to our customer, and our customer safety and health is our utmost priority, followed by our employee safety and health, because if we don't have our employees, we can't do anything anyways, right? We cannot move forward, we cannot continue production and all. And if we don't have our customers, and we don't have anything anyways, it's like a
Right.
balance you need both of, you need your employees and you need a customer, and you're in the middle, so you have to balance it up. So I would say that would be, we will continue to face deliveries and will not completely do in-house dining yet.
Okay, all right. That's in a way good to know also, because I'm sure many people are also concerned of their own health and do not want to be in crowded places just yet, even though with social distancing. Yeah. Another question by Haji Raslan. He asked, would the Tandoor be doing frozen meals? What's the plan? Moving forward. Right now, you have two products that you have as frozen food. Would you have more? Would you have frozen meals?
The last part I didn't hear you, madam. Frozen meals?
Yeah. The question was, would you be doing frozen meals? What's the plan? We all know that you have two frozen items, yeah? But would you have frozen meals, and what's the plan in moving forward?
Yeah, I think moving forward, we would definitely have more range of products, and that will be ready to cook and ready to eat meals as well. Because as I said just now, we are catering to mostly Generation Y and Z. Some of them don't know how to cook. Some of them prefer easy, fast meal. They don't want to go through the hassle of cutting, cooking, washing, cleaning. It's a long process. And moving forward, what would be the new normal is that people would be having in-house dining. People will be home. People would feel safer at home. But at the same time, they would want to fulfill their taste, but they would want to have good food. They want to have quality food. So that's what we're promising. We're promising good quality food right at your doorstep. And our utmost priority is safety of everyone.
Okay. All right. So the next question is from Dr. Moha. His question is, how is the present situation affecting your franchise system and the franchisees?
Well, when this pandemic happened, obviously our franchisees immediately stopped their operations, and they were waiting for further instruction from us as the franchisor, and they were actually afraid to continue operating. So all our franchisees stopped operating until mid of April. We started operating on 14th of April. And precisely why is because after we had the SOP in place, we had a test run, everything is in order, right? We have the disinfections, we monitor the temperature, and all these SOPs were created. Then we test run the SOP as we go ad hocly, and as we address all the matters and everything is in order, we passed it on to the franchisee. And we have also extended our product range to our franchisees, so they are able to also sustain at this time to stay afloat.
Okay. I'm hoping that there will be a more question. I think I'd like to open it up to more questions. If we have more questions, can we have the questions in? You can type your questions at the group chat. So while we wait for the questions, maybe Ameer, can you give a shout out on how people can contact you, order food? Maybe for today's berbuka puasa would be a bit too late, but how do people reach out to you on social media and on WhatsApp and so forth?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, and I would address that also with some of the conflicts that we had. So when we wanted to do our social media platform, we had issues on how do we centralize this marketing, because we've got franchisees and sometimes they're not on par with us with promotions. Like for an example, we came out with Set Duduk Rumah, and our franchisees didn't want to do that because they don't think that it's practical to be selling that cheap. So what we did was that in order to centralize the marketing, we came out with the Instagram handle called the Tandoor Official. So this is the main source of news for the Tandoor Group, right? And then we've got the Tandoor Penang, the Tandoor BM, the Tandoor Subang, and whoever that wants to participate further would have their own Instagram handle. And what they would do mostly would be reposting our posts, because not all promotions are participated by the franchisees, and the franchisors can't enforce that to them. They have the choice whether they want to do it with us or they don't want to do it with us. And so our Instagram will be the Tandoor Official without the apostrophe. So DTANDOOROFFICIAL. And we also use the approach of influencer marketing. We approach a lot of influencers to promote our product. And yeah, we spent quite a hefty budget on that as well. But as I say, there's always good and bad as well. So the good part is that previously, if it wasn't a crisis, influencer marketing will cost you a bomb. But right now, influencer marketing is in exchange of barter trade. You know, you give them some good food and they give you a good review on your food and quality as well. So yeah, that is one of the other efforts that we have put in and innovated as we go along.
Okay, wonderful. So remember everyone, the IG is the Tandoor Official. Okay, let's handle the next question. This is coming from Dr. Jeffrina and Xavier. Her question is, what was the toughest challenge in this pandemic?
The toughest challenge definitely would be staying afloat. That's the topic of today's discussion or program. I would say that would be the toughest challenge. You know, I kid you not that I actually had 3 sleepless nights figuring out what to do next. You know, how do we move forward with this crisis? And as we go on, we be creative, and you know, we keep on looking for solutions. And I think, as I said just now, there's 5 traits of an entrepreneur. One of it is risk-taking. We spend a lot of money in this crisis to market our Instagram. Easily, in last 1 month, we could have easily spent about 10 to 15,000 ringgit in marketing our social media. So that is also something that would be mostly, in most situations, irrelevant. People would say it's not practical to spend this kind of money at this kind of time, but we didn't have a choice. So keeping the business afloat would be creating awareness of your product and business and delivering the best service and food so that you can get returning customers. When they're satisfied with their service and food, you get returning customers. And for the first week and second week, it was just mind-blowing. We had complaints here, and we had things. But yeah, that's part of it because we were adapting as we go. So when we had complaints, we addressed it. I personally handled it. I discussed with the customer, apologized, right? We gave them a refund. Upon refund, we even gave them the food delivered for free because we do not want a negative marketing. We want a positive marketing, right? So if satisfied or not, to them, then to rent it out on social media. But definitely rent it out on social media.
Okay, moving on to the next question, also by Dr. Jasrina. She's asking, is the Malaysian logistic landscape an enabler for businesses to move to the online platform, especially for food businesses? And do you use Grab and Foodpanda?
All right, I would say one more thing that I would share is that since everyone is free at home, I actually, something that could benefit everyone, so I'm sharing. I actually came across online courses by Oxford Oxford University online, where you can get free courses. So I took up the entrepreneurship course module, which you just download the app on your phone and you're able to look at this kind of lectures online, where the lecturer is on a video teaching you what to do. So there is a term that I learned there, which made me realize that could answer this question as well. So basically, the pandemic has become a catalyst for emerging economies. So people who are innovative are able to adapt. They come up with solutions. Even, for an example, the Tandoor, we do not have any e-commerce platform, right, Doctor? We came up with WhatsApp Business. It's a free platform. You just have to translate. You just have to download from Google Apps, and then you do your catalogs and you put it online, and you get to communicate with customers. So I would say that in Malaysia, logistic and other services has tremendously improvised because this pandemic has escalated Industrial Revolution 4.0, meaning that many applications, many service providers are there in the market. If you can see, 3 years ago, food deliveries were dominated by Food Panda and GrabFood. And now we've got everything under the sky. We've got Bungkus Eat, we've got Lalamu, we've got Big Eat, we've got there's an economy of scale, and it's the business market. You decide. 3-4 years ago, if you want to have a platform online, you only have a choice of Food Panda or Grab. But right now, you have all the liberty to decide whether you want your services to be on Bungkus, or you want it to be on Food Panda, or you want it to be on Grab or BP. So what we have done is that we have focused completely with these third-party applications, where we became their merchants, so that we can reach out to more customer groups. And you can know also from the demographics, Bungkus would cater Muslim majority Malay market. Grab is a very diverse market. Food Panda is a more diverse market. And VP covers up to 20 kilometers radius for delivery. And just to share, Bungkus covers up to 300 kilometers delivery radius in a very affordable, reasonable price. So I would say in these kind of emerging economies, there are winners and losers. Winners would be those who are innovative, who are immediately addressing it, who are, even these business owners who are coming up with these apps are also the winners of this pandemic crisis, because they see an opportunity in this problem that they can solve for society. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
I don't know
okay. Yeah, thank you for answering that question. So I see that we do not have any more questions. Is there any final statement that you'd like to share with the participants that we have here?
I would say my final
statement. Your final statement, yes.
Yeah, my final statement for this session would be, I think we all as entrepreneurs have to keep going, right? Never give up. You have to keep your passion burning. You have to have that drive in you, because you take the lead of an organization that you own, and if you do not have a solution, your organization will collapse. And when your organization collapses, to restart or restructure the whole thing, it's a longer, bigger process. So we have to adapt, we have to improvise, we have to learn new things. This is my second time using Zoom. I'm learning new things as well. And sometimes you have to learn new things from Generation X, even though you're Generation Y.
Yes.
So I was able to rotate the background of Zoom app and do this of adapting and learning. And if you do not start anywhere, you would never go anywhere. Never be too scared or too afraid to start. Mistakes will always be there. We will improve as we go, right? But if you are scared and you're waiting and you're thinking, no, how do I do this? No, I cannot start. No, there's going to be so many problems. What if the customer is going to give us bad feedback or what? then we're just going to sit there and do nothing about it. And unfortunately, if you do nothing about it, you won't get anything out of it.
Okay, thank you so much, Amir, for that. I think we are into our 50th minute. I'm hoping that we keep it to less than 1 hour. Great learning session, and I hope that all the participants who are on the webinar today has learned and also are happy that they are able to hear it from a next generation family business. Because I believe that the participants here we have today are very much supportive and are very much also part of a family business. So thank you, Amir Abdul Malik, for coming on board today. Thank you to all the participants, and I'd like to share that this is a NextGen series brought to you by L Space, the Learning Space, an initiative by Bina Pavo. So with that, thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you. So we end the session, Doctor?
Yes, we end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for making time.